For agency.
For the success rate.
Move to adjourn for council.
Second.
Okay, now you can get a drink of water. Understand, there's only three of us here. None of us can leave the room without everything stopping. So he'll get a glass of water and come back. Momentary pause. Okay. Okay, we're back again. Okay, with that, we're going to have the special meeting of the Glendale City Council for June 18th, 2013. Roll call, please.
Council members Friedman, Najarian,
Here.
Quintero,
Here.
Sinanian, Mayor Weaver.
Here, and we have your report.
The agenda for the June 18, 2013 special public meeting of the City Council was posted on Thursday, June 13, 2013 on the bulletin board outside City Hall. And item 1, Director of Community Development regarding proposed mixed-use retail service, daycare, and restaurant project to be located at 507 to 525 West Colorado Street. At 1A is motion approving Stage 1 design review, subject to comments and conditions of approval.
Okay, I'd like to stress again this design review 1, Phase 1. The meat of the project is in Phase 2. The environmental documents, the studies, the refinements, everything goes into that. So this is Phase 1. So much easier to go through a Phase 1 than the Phase 2. No assurances. So with that, Mr. Cho, what do we go to?
Yes, sir. This is, as you say, Stage 1 design review for proposed mixed-use property and project at 507, 525 West Colorado. Generally, this is just west of the intersection of Pacific and Colorado, across the street from the ISIS apartments that were recently delivered. With that, we will have Vilya Zematitis, our senior planner, get up and kick us off for the presentation.
Thank you. Mayor Weaver, council members, again, as stated, this is a Stage 1 conceptual design review for a new mixed-use project proposed at 507 through 525 West Colorado. The approximately 1-acre project site is located on the north side of Colorado between Pacific Avenue and the 5 freeway on-ramps, off-ramps. It is located also within the San Fernando Road redevelopment project area. The project site currently features an existing daycare center and a 1-story commercial office building. Both structures will be demolished as part of this project. The daycare center, however, will be reincorporated into the new project. The 4-story mixed-use project has a ground floor commercial component of approximately 28,800 square feet. It will feature the daycare center, retail, commercial services, and restaurant uses. The upper 3 floors will house 90 residential apartment dwelling units. There will be 2 levels of subterranean parking with a total of 199 parking spaces. The developer is requesting a density bonus pursuant to SB 1818. By code, 86 units are permitted on the project site by right. They are requesting or proposing 90 residential dwelling units, 4 of which will be devoted to very low income housing. The proposal also includes a parking reduction. This would be for a reduction in the number of parking spaces provided for the daycare use. The parking reduction application will be presented to City Council along with the environmental documents as part of this, the Stage 2 final design review board packet. As stated in your staff report, staff recommends approval of the Stage 1 conceptual design review with a number of conditions and comments. That concludes staff's brief presentation. I'm available to answer any questions you may have, and if there are no questions, I would like to introduce Gregory Tan of the CC Tan Group. Any questions?
Okay.
No? Thank you.
And how much time do you need? 5 minutes, okay?
All right.
Should be all right? Okay, 5 minutes.
Honorable Mayor, council members, city manager, city staff.
My name is Gregory Tan with CMGT, and we're the developer of the project. I wanted to just really quick give a little bit of background about the company and what we do. We are a small family-owned company started by my parents, and my parents and I make up 3 of the 4 people in our company, so we are very much small and family-owned. We are also very much from Glendale. My parents have lived in Glendale for over 40 years. Myself, I was born and raised in Glendale, so lived here over 30 years, and our office, which is actually next to the site, is again, in Glendale as well. We've been there almost 20 years, so again, been in Glendale for quite some time. A little background of what we've done. This is a 70-unit apartment building that we have built and have in North Hollywood. They are all affordable housing, and when we do the buildings, we like to have open spaces that we leave for the tenants to use. As you can see, these units also open to the courtyard. We also have another 82-unit apartment building that's in Los Angeles. Again, these are all affordable housing units. Again, we like to keep lots of open space for the tenants to use. Also, in this particular building, we have a child care center that is being operated in the building. Which brings us to our current site that we're talking about today. This is a page out of the packet that you have. If you take a closer look at the site, you can see where our site is. And if you look just to the left there, that is our office. So when I say our office is next to the site, we are literally next to it. Now, if you look at, as Villy had said, currently on the site, there are 2 buildings. The building on the west end of the project, we use that as a martial arts exercise building. The other building, as mentioned, is a child care center, which, again, we will have one in the new building. And, of course, there are a couple empty lots on the site. Now, the buildings that are there right now, certainly not in bad condition. I mean, they're not bad at all. But we feel that it would be an improvement to the site, and it would be better benefit to the community if we put this project on the site.
Can you go back one slide? Okay, to the north, you're
Yes.
building right to the property line?
No, actually, there are some power poles on the north side, and we actually have setbacks, about a 5-foot setback on the north side at the first floor, and then the upper floors are actually set back even further than that. I believe we're about 10 feet back.
So you have 5 foot separating you from the properties to the north,
Correct.
and those are residential, single-family residential?
Some are single-family residential. There are also 2, I believe, 3-story apartment buildings to the north as well.
Okay.
So this project that we'd like to put on the site, again, has 90 units, 4 rent apartments. And even though they are not all in the affordable housing category, our plan is to make them affordable for middle-class working people. That's what we want to have there. We will have amenities such as courtyards and some community rooms for the tenants to use, which our architect will describe in more detail. Also, aside from the apartment units, again, it is a mixed-use building. So, as stated, the first floor will have a child care center, we will have a restaurant, and we're also leaving spaces for small businesses. And in particular, we want to bring small businesses that can provide services to the tenants and to the surrounding community. Basically, we want to put a building that the community can use. That's what we want. Now, aside from how we're going to use the building, as far as the building itself, we want to make it environmentally friendly. Now, we aren't going for LEED certification for this project, but we do believe in the intent and the goal of the LEED system. In fact, I am a LEED AP. So on this project, I'm looking at putting solar panels. We're looking at putting solar thermal systems. We're looking at zip cars to, again, make the building environmentally friendly. Based on what all the features that we're putting in the building, if we actually went into the LEED system, we would actually achieve a LEED certified status, and with a little bit of work, we could actually pretty easily achieve LEED silver status. So the components are definitely there. All in all, basically what we want to do is we want to improve the area and put a building that benefits the community and do it in an environmentally friendly manner. That's our goal, so hopefully we can do that. With that, I'm going to turn over to my architect to describe the building in more detail if there aren't any other questions.
Okay. Thank you. Architect? How long would you like? 3, 4, 5 minutes?
3 minutes.
3 minutes, okay.
Maybe a little longer.
And your name for the record?
Tian Chu. Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and the Honorable Council. I'm an architect for 30 years and very glad to be part of this project. I'm the design architect for it. I have my office in Pasadena. First of all, I'd like to give thanks to City Good Services that provided to us through planning, GWP, engineering, fire, building department, that they all give us good guidance, assistance through a lot of meetings to resolve design and code issues on the project. I have designed quite a few housing projects in the past, and this project is basically a 4-story apartment over 2-story parking, and the first floor is a commercial floor that will give a commercial frontage to Colorado Street. And this is the massing model that shows the different side of the building. And we're very careful about the massing design of the project, and the project will transist with Colorado Street, which is the commercial side. Also, the residential side on the back, which is the north of the project.
Can I ask a question on that?
I'm sorry.
On the one you just had up?
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's showing the north side, correct?
Yes.
With the shadow into the properties to the north, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
And this is an image that we look at from Colorado Street toward east. At the corner there, we have designed a tower that would be a identity to this project. We feel this project would be a gateway structure in the city because it's right at the entrance, Freeway 5, 134, entering city of Glendale. And this is the floor plan of the first floor, where we indicate by color commercial restaurant and the child care facility. And by the entrance ramp, the car ramp, we have a big court that is a landscape court that will give a very inviting setup to the pedestrian where people enter. And this is the second floor, which is a typical floor of second, third, and fourth floor. But the second floor had the landscape court, where you can see that we have provide a lot of landscaping, fountain, trellis, and outdoor seating that will serve as a very good amenity to the complex for the residents to use. And these are the elevation of the building. We carefully select all the material, color, and we have undergone many revisions when we design the project. And one of the focal point that we've been dealing with a design review process is the corner element and also the entrance identity, where we have we end up a curtain wall mosaic design.
Keep going.
Okay. At the corner, and this is the rear side facing north, and we carefully designed this side too, so that on the wall we have lattice to have landscaping, and we have window treatment, color, and this side is actually 10 feet setback from the property line, so it will transit.
What'd you say is setback?
10 feet.
What, the first floor?
From the second floor through fourth floor.
Second floor, it's 10 foot.
Yes, sir.
So an additional 5 foot beyond the first floor.
Yes. So we're very sensitive to the surrounding, that we provide enough buffer zone at that area. And these are some alternative design that we have gone through. So I'll go through it very quickly. This is to show that the corner element that we have designed many times. A mosaic tower, a glass curtain wall all the way, glass curtain wall, and a circular element roof on the roof. Different materials like slate versus mosaic. That will conclude my presentation. Thank you so much, and be glad to answer any question you may have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, from those that all of the team, right? Architect and owner. Okay, the remaining speakers be 3 minutes. William Kopp. Yes. Just your name for the record.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak at the meeting. I also have been a long-term resident of Glendale.
Your name for the
I've been-
record, please, sir?
What's that?
Your name for the record, please?
William Kopp, K-O-P-P.
Thank you.
I've been a resident of Glendale in my entire life, 42 years. And in fact, my family has been at this particular residence on Oak Street, which lies to the north of the project that you saw there, that you asked about, the single-story dwellings behind there. We've been at this resident the entire time, and we have no desire to move, actually. We're proud residents of the city. Just learned of this project, and I'm deeply concerned by some of the design, the consideration of it to the single-story dwellings that's behind it. It'll be a severe erosion to our privacy, to our, I believe, our sun line. Looking at the design, I count 18, possibly 24 windows that will have a direct sight. Their view will be our backyards. And also the back wall of 525 Colorado, as it stands, has been my back wall for those 42 years. So if that were to be demolished, I'm not sure during the construction phase, I have dogs to contain them if I need to build a wall. I also have, I'll keep this as brief as possible, I now am at the property taking care of my disabled mother. She's had 5 surgeries in 8 years, and she's a severe asthmatic as well. And during the ISIS project, even though that was across the street on Colorado, she had a tough time of it during that. And the prospect of this being directly in our literally in our backyard, it concerns me for her health. We don't have air conditioning. I don't have a way to really isolate her from that. I travel for work. I'm a territory sales manager for a company, and a lot of times I'm on the road 3 or 4 weeks. So it's just her at the property. I have dogs as well. So these things concern me. It's significantly going to change the quality of life at this residence. It's, I've had, and I understand apartments go up, and that's what happens in the city. It's just going to erode all my privacy during the construction phase. And I just want to know, and I will attend all meetings going forward, if the designs of the building are going to have any considerations for 42-year resident. I know Mark's going to speak as 61-year resident. For us, both during the construction phase and during the design, we also see a walkway on the back end where this is literally going to be an invasion. So I'll keep it simply to that. So
Major point.
I appreciate the time. Thank you, guys.
Mark Felkel.
My name is Mark Felkel, and good afternoon, Mayor and Council and staff. Like Bill, kind of shocked when we heard and found out about this 4-story building, and one of the big things on this is privacy, like he said. This deck that's going to be on the top, I'll start with the deck that's on the top of the first floor. That's on page 22. that is going to be a walking area. And when it goes from east to west, it increases from 15 feet above the ground to 20 feet above the ground. And that, as much vegetation as my mom has, people will be able to look directly down into the property. The other thing is there are 6 windows directly behind the property. Each one of these units has a balcony for barbecuing, for whatever we're doing. So there's a chance that people will be sitting. It's going to be 50 feet tall to the shortest part of the back of the building. And like Bill says, things get built, but when it's in your own backyard, then it's a shock. And there's a sunlight encroachment. That one view, the bird's eye view from the back side of the building, showed a nice short shadow. But in the middle of winter, that's going to be covering the whole backyard, the house, whatever. And, you know, there's consideration for putting solar panels on our own place, like they had talked about. And that wouldn't work at all. She has a wonderful breeze right now that comes through her house. She has absolutely no air conditioning and doesn't need it. And I think this is going to create some sort of a air dam that's going to change all that. And how about the on-site parking? Right now, the businesses that are located on West Colorado towards the west end, a lot of those people park on Oak Street. For one reason, there's a restriction on Kenilworth, but they'll park there and walk around, use the street. There's quite a few other apartments that we can all use that parking. So we're concerned about if this thing could be reduced in some way, push back further, reduce some of that open air ceiling that they have, and push those floors back so that it's less of a problem, but it will definitely be a problem. Thank you very much.
Enough? Okay. Carol Falco? He said it all for you?
I think you said it all.
Okay.
Very well.
Thank you, Carol.
Hello, everybody. You know me. I've been here
Wait.
years.
Yeah. Okay. Density Pietro.
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and City Council and administration staff. I'm here representing the Glendale Chamber of Commerce as board chair. The board has taken a unanimous support of this project. This is obviously a very important west gateway into the city from the 5 freeway, ISIS being the first project of, in a sense, this type that's come up. This seems like an appropriate addition to that corridor to lead into from west to east into the main part of the city. Do sympathize with the residents, and it's always a difficult situation to deal with these kinds of projects. But it seems that it's completely consistent with the zoning requirements, the heights, the density, and it doesn't seem like it is inappropriate at all for the location. So on behalf of the board, they would like to have you support this design one review and see to the completion of this project.
Thank you. I have no more cards. I'd like to request staff to come up and tell us about all the conditions that have been put on it according to our staff, what their thinking is. Mr. Loomis.
Thank you, Councilmember Mayor Weaver and Council Members Najarian and Quintero. I'm Alan Loomis, and the author of the design conditions, and these are simply the conditions related to the design, not the other conditions that, say, the various public works or other departments might put onto the project. We offered 6 conditions and 7 comments, and they're distinguished. The comments are things that would be very good for the applicant to think about, but not things we feel so strongly that we would impose them as requirements on the design. 2 of the conditions, number 5 and 6, I'm going to sort of dispense with quickly. These are really conditions that are, at this point, becoming standard conditions for projects at stage 1 related to requiring additional information about materials and signs and how those be fabricated. At stage 2, we ask for that information. And so almost every stage 1 application now we ask for what are conditions 5 and 6. Conditions, the other 4 are more substantive related to the design. Condition number 1 relates to the light well and the public court. There is a large public court facing Colorado that is largely covered by the second floor courtyard. So we're asking for an enlarged light well to bring more light into that. That would not have an impact on the concerns that the neighbors to the north have brought up. Neither would condition 2, which is to develop the central elevator core within the courtyard as an architectural feature. That's more of a benefit for building residents. However, condition 3 may have an impact or sort of positive characteristic for the concerns brought forward by the north residents, which is to explore the use of roof decks at the fourth floor to emphasize the architectural feature at the southwest corner of the building. Basically, as you see, the building is entirely 4 stories. If, say, a unit or 2 is taken off of the 4th floor and then a roof deck was put in its place, that would reduce the mass of the building, the height of the building in some corner wherever that roof deck was located. We think that there's probably a strategic place we can put that will sort of mitigate some of the height and massing issues. The 4th condition is about that corner element, and you saw a number of variations we've gone through with the architect. We think we still need more work to make that corner element really a kind of strong signature feature. In terms of the comments, one of them is that we'd like them to consider putting in a second elevator core. Right now there's simply 1 elevator core that would serve the daycare residents or daycare users. People dropping off their kids at daycare will drive into the lower garage. They'll have to come up the same elevator that would be used by building residents. So there's a potential for conflict of users there. From a convenience standpoint, it seems another elevator just for the daycare and commercial would be useful. We've asked for short-term bike parking to be located near the building's entrance, and also for 2 parking spaces for a zip car. Again, that's almost a typical comment or request we put forward for almost every project of this size. We've suggested they explore a wider range of landscape amenities such as fire pits and pools and spas. Projects of this scale typically have a great deal of open space amenities. As presently drawn, all we are seeing are trees. And then finally, we've suggested that on the north elevation that they set the 4th floor, that very top floor, back an additional 5 to 6 feet. That may help with some of the concerns the neighbors to the north have raised about shadow. That being said, also somewhere else in the discussion, sort of commented that this is, in terms of the mass and scale, with the footprint as being presented, probably the best that can be done in terms of mitigating some of the issues to the residents to the north, short of a more comprehensive sort of reconfiguration of the building footprint, and to say an E-shaped footprint with courtyards opening to the north or south. And that might help reduce that large wall either on the Colorado side or to the north side. But that would be a really substantive redesign, I think.
Okay. Questions? Thank you, Mr. Loomis.
Thank you.
I have no more cards. Now, this is Phase 1. The meat of it will be on Phase 2, of course. But there are initial comments on it at this time. Mr. Quintero.
Councilmember, your mic.
All right. I am not in support of this project. The zoning permits them to do a lot of the things that they want to do. However, the discretion we have, number one, it's just way too massive, period. So whether they reduce the units or make them smaller, that's up to the development team. But it's too massive a project. It needs way more setbacks, not just 5 feet or 8 feet, but a lot more of a setback. And I think Mr. Loomis alluded to the fact that you don't have to have an entire wall facing north. There are ways to make that a much better situation for the homeowners adjacent to the property. Also, because of SB 1818, there's no guest parking. You've got 85 commercial parking spots and 108 for the residential, but really no guest parking. I guess in the evening, there would be a certain amount of guest parking in the commercial section of the parking structure. But all in all, I mean, this is not appropriate for this part of, or for the north of Colorado. I mean, I'm interested in downtown housing. I support downtown housing. This is not downtown housing. It's in and out of a very busy Colorado. But child care access, to me, is not good. I mean, every morning, you're going to have child care driving into the parking structure. Now I understand they have to take an elevator, then driving out of the structure, the same thing in the afternoons, and those are the busy peak hours on Colorado. So I think the development team, the property owners, have a lot of work to do before I'd even consider voting for this project.
Thank you, Mr. Quintero. Mr. Najarian?
I am not happy with the project either. I don't like the size of it. I don't like the massing of it. I thought in the SFMU zone, it was our intention, staff, to make sure that it stepped back towards the rear of the property, that there wasn't just a wall, a 50-foot wall, that it would be, if your front was 50, that by the time you got to the rear of the lot, it would be down to 30 feet.
Up on Central.
That was my understanding, especially when there's interface between residential, single-family residential neighborhoods. I think it's a lot of...
Mr. Hagani would like to answer that.
Let me just explain that. That was for when it's abutting a single-family residential zone. The zone north of this is not single-family, it's multifamily. And also, it's a matter of the setback. The setback on the second floor is addressing that. For SFMU, it was the setback on the second floor and up.
So those people that have the residences there that have lived there 40, 50, 60 years, it was rezoned while they're living there, and therefore...
Right. So these are the leftover single-family homes in a multifamily zone.
So they're surrounded on either side by multifamily today.
It's a very sensitive area, I think. Essentially, it's the on-ramp to the 5 freeway at that point. Although the use is not before us here, I'm concerned about having a child care right there where there's kids getting in and out of cars and parents hustling to get them in the driveway and out of the driveway, and I've got to pull out and get to work. The design itself doesn't thrill me. It's like so many other designs that I've seen in Glendale. If you put this next to the Eleve or the Lex on Orange or any of those others, it's the same sort of flat wall with a little articulation, flat wall, a little articulation. So the design feature doesn't do it to me either. So I think it's too big. I think it's uses too much of the footprint of the property. I'd like to see some more breaking up of the sides of the building, the front and the rear. And I'd like to see them, Mr. Loomis, don't apologize. I mean, go back and tell them this is what we want. And whether it means a major revision, that's what experienced architects are for, to always be able to change and to adapt. So that's, I don't like it the way it is, and I would not vote for it.
Well, I met with the Tans, and I said, oh, looks okay at first blush. But the devil's in the details. And when I had a set of plans to study, and I had the staff report, and I started analyzing it more, this is the first project that I have to say that I'm not comfortable with. The whole project's only 100 or so feet deep. It's over a football field long. It's just a very long, narrow parcel. And it's cramming all these units into every square foot of space there is. And I don't know how many units it takes to break even on this project, but I think an architect could do a lot of things differently, but it would mean a reduction in number of units. I don't know how crucial that is to make something happen. Yeah, we have the ISIS down there, and of course we'll expect the same kind of quality as the ISIS has, because we require that of every project in Glendale now. I too see the problem with the daycare. I have grandchildren in daycare, and I see what happens there. They all arrive within a fairly short period of time. So you have all the traffic on Colorado heading to the freeway on-ramp. You have the parents coming in there with their kids to daycare, probably at the same time. Maybe people coming into the restaurant, and you have all the residents, a lot of them trying to leave. And there's only one driveway. Now, I know that's not a part of stage one, but I see that as being a critical problem in stage two. That's a narrow courtyard in the middle. We just dedicated the Aleve down on Maryland and Broadway, and all the amenities, the park setting was on the roof, which made it, which I've been told is the best seller of those units. They've sold, or at least some 35, 40 already. And what is selling them is the roof. So having a narrow corridor in the middle of the building, long, narrow, it's probably the length of almost the length of a football field, length and 20-some feet wide. It doesn't proportion out in my head. I know the residences, well, when those residences go, I know what's going to happen. It's going to be commercial. Sorry I didn't drive down there on that street to look what's there now. But as Mr. Majorian alluded to, we went to great lengths to assure that, especially up on Brand or Central, that buildings facing on Central step down into the residential. Well, there's no step down here. I look out the window, it goes up 5 stories. I'm just uncomfortable with that. I'm uncomfortable with a lot of things in this. And then staff who I asked the tenants, are you working with the staff? And they said yes. And then I get a report with 6 conditions and 5 recommendations. And I said, what the heck? What's going on? It's like there's a disconnect. So while I expect the tenants to develop their property, make some money out of it, provide the daycare, and I know daycares are very important, I just can't see this configuration or whatever working. Mr. Loomis talked about possibly an E shape. That's true, that might work better. Still doesn't get us away from the 50-foot height. I just know I'd have to look at a lot of different renderings to find out what would make this work for that area. But I don't see how it's going to be done while maintaining all those units and a daycare and restaurants and commercial and retail all in this small, elongated area. Everybody is not going to be able to use that elevator at the same time. Residents trying to go down, daycare parking downstairs and coming up the same elevator, any retail, commercial coming up and down the same elevator. I truly believe it would need at least 2 elevators in this configuration. But I have to admit, this is the first time I'm stumped. I apologize, to the TANs if I misled them in thinking I was comfortable with the whole thing, but after getting into the details and looking at everything, I just think you have to go back to the drawing board and figure out how you can do something smaller. Like I said, I don't know what the economics are on this project. I don't know what makes it click. I'm not objecting to the housing there because ISIS has shown it's renting heavily. It's leasing out big time. So something is working down there. But this is just packing too many into a too small space. Even though it's not residential to the north anymore, it's still straight up impacting anything to the north. So I'm in the position I just can't support it. I hate to say that. I just can't. So
Okay, so what do we do, Mr.?
we have a motion approving it, subject to comments.
Right,
or-
but one of the alternatives in the report, Mr. Mayor, is alternative 3 to deny approval and direct a redesign. It sounds like that's where the council is at this point.
Approve with redesign?
Deny approval of stage
Deny-
1 and direct that it be redesigned.
Is there a motion to that effect? Is there a motion to that effect?
Are we going to let property owner say anything?
Is it still time
Okay, fill out a card afterwards.
I'll get your card, go ahead.
No, later. Fill the card out later.
Go ahead.
Stan.
for allowing me to speak? My name is Marie Tan. My husband and I are like Greg. Greg is our only son. And we are long-time residents in Glendale. We live here over 40 years, and Greg is born here, and he had lived here over 30 years. We are local developer, and I hear all the comments and the concern that you all have, and I just want to address two issues. I know that, it's almost a standard procedure. People worry about privacy, all that kind. And I know that I live in an apartment also. But this is something I don't know how you can address the privacy. Unless you have all high rise, there's somebody going to be up here and up there, and we have every consideration to make. We have a setback, first floor 5 feet, and then 10 feet, like that one. So it's not that we don't consider, we do. And Mayor, you were worried about the traffic, like everybody come in childcare, all that kind of thing. And you will be happy to know that we have already done the traffic impact study already, about, people living, because this is going to be our building. And my office building is next to this project. And we're going to live there, basically. So we worry about the traffic also. And again, we have the traffic analysis study already, and they all say that there will be no significant impact.
Good. But of course, that would be addressed in stage 2. We don't look at that now, but thanks for telling us what it...
So I guess what I'm trying to do is to get your approval, to approve the stage 1.
Understood. I thank you for your comments, but again, I'm not comfortable with the architectural design.
I would suggest that I would suggest that the family review the tapes of what we said, work with their architect, work with the staff, because I don't think there's any question. I don't think, speaking for the other 2 members, I don't think there's any that aren't here today. I don't think there's any question that we're going to approve this design as it stands. It's once again way too close to that property line. There's nothing we can do about the amount of units that the developer wants to build, but the bottom line is the massing is just too much for that property, and I think they better take a realistic look at what their opportunities are on this property, because I'm certainly not going to support something that comes back that's got a little bit of a change, but it's basically the same layout. It's too massive, period. Just, for me, the bottom line.
I guess we're saying you can't tinker with the design. You've got to change the design. It's a unique one, 100-foot deep, more than a football field long. I don't remember ever seeing a project in Glendale with those kind of dimensions. They're more rectangular, square, oblong, something, but This is a long, narrow project, and it just juts in the air to get the maximum number of units. And like I said, the architect has to get very creative on this site and work a lot with city staff, because I'd hate to have you come back again and have the same result again. The privacy, I understand, but when you drive up on Central, you will not find a 5-story building sitting next to residential, even though it's not zoned for residential. So,
I'm ready to make a motion. The motion would be sent back to redesign.
Right, deny approval of stage 1 and direct the redesign of the project.
Okay, I vote we deny approval of stage 1 and redirect the project.
Second.
okay, roll call.
Council members Friedman, Najarian,
Yes.
Quintero,
Yes.
Sinanian, Mayor Weaver.
Aye. Thank you. That ends that meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. We only have closed session into the record.